What is good, YouTube, man? Today I'm back with you guys, with the nation, for another video, man. And today I have an interesting video for you guys, man. I kind of wanted to speak on, some question marks in this defense, right? Because I know that we have guys like Nicholas Morrow. I know that we re-signed a couple of safeties. We have a guy that we re-signed that was previously with the Raiders before, with Carl Joseph, right? We got Carl Joseph back, and where do these draft prospects that we got in this year's draft fit into this defense, fit into this role? Like, where do these guys fit in? And before we get into that topic, man, shout out to Icy Nate, man. He is the creators of these awesome thumbnails, man. So big shout out to Icy Nate. A lot of credit going out to him. Please go subscribe to his channel, man. He makes good content. Go check him out. It's at icy_Nate. But let's get into the video, man. So I want to talk about two guys that I was very excited for, the Divine Deablo pick and the Tyree Gillespie pick, right? Now, I'm going to start with Tyree Gillespie because he's a guy who intrigues me a ton, like a ton. Let's just start off with his profile, right? I mean, he is a 6 foot exactly, DB from Missouri, very good talent, right? I mean, he had one of his best games of his career against some of the top talent in this league, man, and that is very tough to see. That is very tough to find, man. And let's talk about it, right? So Tyree Gillespie, former free safety, former strong safety, former slot player, slot guy for Missouri last year and for his years there, right? I mean, the Raiders picked him up in round 4, pick 143, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, right? The day that we got him, I literally was, I was so happy, right? I was so happy. I was surprised that we got another safety right after I felt like we got our guy of the future with Trayvon Merrick. And at the time we still had Jeff Heath, we still had re-signed Carl Joseph. So I was a bit surprised, right? Because I got that text, I got that notification, and man, I was just so happy, right? Because Tyree Gillespie, like I just said, he played free safety, he played strong safety, he played in the box, he played in the slot, right? I mean, this is a guy that I really was hyped about, and I'm just glad that we got him. So he is 6 foot. He is 6 foot exactly, 207 pounds, 31 and a quarter. With his arms, his reach basically, and his hands are about 9.5 inches, basically 10 inches, right? I mean, this guy right here is going to play very well, in my opinion, right? Tyree Gillespie excites me a ton, guys. I mean, this guy with Gus Bradley can honestly be a better version of Desmond King. I'm going to be so honest with you guys, right? I mean, Tyree Gillespie, one of his best games, like I said, was against Alabama, right? He absolutely dominated their guys when he had the chance. Obviously, Missouri is just a lower class in talent compared to Alabama. Alabama has superstars at every position, right? I mean, going up against Alabama, he shined against, with a pretty half good, half bad defense with Missouri, right? I mean, this guy's resume against Alabama was insane, right? I mean, this dude had a tackle for loss, I believe, on Jalen Waddle, one of the most elusive, one of the most quickest players in this year's draft that just passed, right? Had a huge hit on Devontae Smith, another guy who went in the top 15. I mean, then against Najee Harris, I mean, he completely blew up Najee Harris in the backfield, and you don't see a guy doing that, especially against Alabama, right? I mean, Alabama is one of the top college football teams in sports, right? I mean, this is a no-joke kind of team, and like I said, he stood out on a very poor defense that they had in Missouri, right? Tyree Gillespie, in my opinion, will play a lot in the box. I mean, Tyree Gillespie, free safety, strong safety, slot corner. That, to me, sounds like Desmond King. And we all know that Desmond King had huge success and huge importance to that Chargers defense, right? I mean, Gus Bradley loves having these Swiss Army knives at each level, right? I mean, he loves having that guy on that defensive line, like a Melvin Ingram, which I feel like we got with Malcolm Kuntz possibly, but that's not what this is for, right? He likes having these Swiss Army knives at each level, and I do believe that Missouri prospect Tyree Gillespie is going to be that Swiss Army knife, right? He is a bit taller, a bit faster than Desmond King, and I do believe that, he may become an overall better player than Desmond King. And Do I believe what this means for Tyree Gillespie? I really do believe that this is going to be the guy to beat out Carl Joseph in camp. I do believe that he'll be competing with Carl Joseph in camp for that job, right? For that real rotational safety job, because this guy right here can play deep high safety. He can play strong safety. He can play in the slot. He can play in the box, right? I mean, this is a very, very, very good, talented player right here. And I just really love that. I do feel that, you know, Gus Bradley had a big input on this pick. I know that I know that Mike Mayock had said that in the 5th round, this guy stood out like a sore thumb because they had him a bit higher on the draft board, right? Maybe they had him as a 3rd or 4th round pick. I mean, a 2nd or 3rd round pick, and they said at pick 143, we had to do it. We had to jump on the board and get him. You know, I believe we traded up to get him, and this guy's no joke, man. He is no joke. I really, really like Tyree Gillespie out of Missouri. One of my favorite guys that we've gotten this year, but let's go into our 3rd round pick at pick 80, linebacker out of Virginia Tech, right? I mean, maybe this wasn't the Virginia Tech guy that we all thought we were getting, but we got ourselves a good one, man. Another guy, 6'3", big frame, 226 pounds. He's quick, man. He ran a 4.46, I believe, in his 40-yard dash. Of course, that's unofficial time, but bro, 6'3", 226, running a 4.46. You can fly, man. This guy's a big dude. There's no joke in this guy's game, right? I mean, he said it himself. He models his game after one of the greats in Cam Chancellor. So let's talk about this one in a bit, right? You know, I spoke about how where Tyree Gillespie can kind of fit his way in or really gain his role into this defense. Let's talk about Divine Deablo, because they've been pretty open in what his role is going to be, right? I mean, they said it first day. I believe he said it as well. Divine Deablo said, look, they told me that I'm going to make this transition to will linebacker. Maybe that's not what the team wanted him to do early on and just go out and say that, but Mike Mayock that same night said, yeah, we're trying to transition him to move into that will linebacker position, that weak side linebacker position, because he said that in the Senior Bowl that's where they had him playing at. That's where they were scouting him at, as a weak side linebacker. Not only that, he said that Mike Mayock said that Richard Smith went up to Mike Mayock and John Gruden and said that this is the guy that you want playing weak side linebacker for your team in the NFL, right? But let's talk about it, right? So he plays strong safety, a lot of strong safety and free safety in college. This dude's a freak. He is a freak. Like I said, 6'3", 226, running a 4.46 in the 40-yard dash. Of course, that is unofficial time, right? But let's talk about his play. So this guy in the box can make plays, man. And shout out to Sanjit. I know that he made a film breakdown on this guy, Divine Deablo, and he did have some concerns about Divine Deablo playing linebacker, right? He, I believe Sanjit was more fond of him playing, just sticking to that strong safety, free safety role. But in my opinion, I don't want him to do that. I want him to play that weak side linebacker. Now, Sanjit's concerns were that, you know, he possibly couldn't fill the gaps or read the gaps quick enough, and that's a big step to learn in the NFL. And guess what? He is right. But at the end of the day, in his college career, he was a safety, right? And when you play safety, you're taught that you can't just completely rush into the tackles, man, because you are that last line of defense. How many times did last year we saw Jonathan Abram miss a tackle, and he was our last line of defense, right? Divine Deablo was taught to not just go in, shoot gaps, because he was that last line of defense. That's why when we're watching Divine Deablo's film, we have to remember that when we're watching this film, we're watching his film as a safety. We're watching him as a safety, not as a linebacker, right? Him as a linebacker, now he'll probably be able to play free, where he won't have to think in the back of my head, I can't shoot this gap because I'm the last line of defense. He's now going to be able to tell himself, I can just go make a play, right? He's going to think, man, this is my time. This is going to help me, because now he won't have to think that, listen, if I miss this tackle, this guy can take it for 6, right? And I do believe that that's what one of Sanjit's concerns were, that you know, he's gonna have to read gaps and really shoot gaps a lot better as a weak side linebacker. And Sanjit is correct on that. But what I do believe that we have to remember is that we're watching his film as a safety, right? That's what he played. He never played linebacker until the Senior Bowl, because that's what teams wanted to scout him as. And when you watch the Senior Bowl, he was able to shoot these gaps pretty well, right? I mean, I believe he had a couple tackles for loss in that Senior Bowl game, and with Divine Deablo as a weak side linebacker, I'm very, very comfortable with that, because your weak side linebacker in the NFL is probably your best coverage guy on the field in your linebacker group, right? You could say that Corey Littleton could play there, but Corey Littleton's going to be forced to play that strong side linebacker this year. But let's talk about Divine Deablo and his competition, right? At the moment, Divine Deablo's true competition is Nicholas Morrow. I've said this before. I've came out and said this before. I do believe that probably by week 4, week 5, Divine Deablo is going to take Nicholas Morrow's job, and he's going to give Nicholas Morrow a run for his money, right? I do believe that by this week, we'll probably have Nicholas Morrow as sub middle linebacker with Nick Kwiatkowski, and Divine Deablo is going to be starting full time as that outside linebacker, as that weak side linebacker, right? Because in all honesty, Nicholas Morrow's on rented time, right? We have Divine Deablo for 4 years. We have to develop Divine Deablo quickly. We can't just put him on the back burner for a year and just expect Nicholas Morrow to just thrive and do all this, right? Divine Deablo is going to have a big role in this defense, in my opinion, right? I mean, I am really, really excited with what we got in these guys. I mean, it's amazing that we were able to have such a good draft this year, and Divine Deablo is probably one of my favorite prospects after watching film, right? He's freakish, right? He can make plays on that ball, and one of the best players that I think he made was he was in the flats, he was in the box, and he completely just broke on the pass, like if he was a defensive back, like if he was an outside corner, broke on the ball, completely just dove for it, caught that interception. That is some freakish talent for a guy who's 6'3", 226 pounds, man. That you don't see that all the time, right? I mean, I'm really, really excited about both of these guys. You know, Tyree Gillespie, his potential was through the roof, in my opinion. Like I said, he could be a very, very good Swiss Army knife, like a guy like Desmond King, right? Desmond King was used all over Gus Bradley's defense. I mean, I'm really, really excited to see if Tyree Gillespie has a good training camp and beats out Carl Joseph for that rotational free safety role. And I'm excited to see what Divine Deablo does for this defense, right? I'm excited to see if what I say comes true, and I'm just excited to see if he can really beat out Nicholas Morrow for this job, man. And before I end out this video, man, big shout out to somebody who commented on my last video. I believe her name was Monica. I mean, she had commented in the comment section down below for me to give. I believe it was her fiance in Jose Aguilar. She wanted to give him a good shout out, and shout out to you, man. I believe she said that you watch basically every single video, so shout out to you. Thank you for the big support that you show this channel, man. I appreciate it a lot. But Raider Nation, that'll be it for today's video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you can, and I'm out. Peace.